What's up, YouTubers? Colorado's finest in the DIY tent. I'll be doing a clean out, but before I do that, I'm going to build another Scrog net because that's how I grow. This can be used as a SOG, Sea of Green, or Scrog. If you don't know the difference, Scrog is one single plant. That's one plant underneath the net. Sea of Green, SOG. You got one that's SOG. That's more than one plant underneath the net. It's the only difference between the two. Either way, they'll benefit your yields if you know what you're doing, especially indoors, without a doubt. Light penetration is key, so by using the nets, if you do your grow right, you'll have all your buds at the top flat all the way across, so obviously you will have light penetration on all your buds. Versus not using the Scrog, you have to try to penetrate the lower levels, which is freaking pretty much impossible unless you're going to run 1,000 watts, and even then they don't do the best. You get the bottom popcorn. So pretty much you'll see a lot of the big growers and even small ones that are smart, they start using the nets. Really helps out maintain the plant, easier to veg, keeps it whatever height you want it. It's easy to keep the plant at that height. So if you want it 2 feet off the ground, the net, say your net's 2 feet, the plant will only grow above 2 feet if you let it. Like, it'll try to grow out through your squares, but then you just tuck it down and move it. So that's how it works. So it helps you manage your plant height, but also gives you maximum yield because all your buds, colas, are at the very top, and they're all pretty much should be equal if done correctly. And so enough of that. Right now my other flower tent, which is still in veg mode, is not awake yet, but which I'm gonna probably, if I remember, I'll try to throw it in the video on how I feed the girls and all that. But basically how I do it is, I mean, to make it simple, is, you know, I make the nets 2 feet or so off the ground, sometimes a little higher, and that leaves me enough space to lay down and slide underneath them. It's very simple, and pour water into them. So I don't really have an issue getting underneath my tents. I make sure I have enough room to get underneath to do the trimming and everything else. I mean, so figure out your height of your tent, how high you want your plant to be, and then add about 18 inches above that for your cola growth. So that gives you an idea of, okay, the top of your net, 18 inches to 20 inches is the max height that your colas are going to be, which you'll be lucky if you get them to 20 inches. But so you can make your net as high as you want, as long as you got the height in your tent. So I can't tell you how high to make it because everybody's grow tents and things are different sizes. This one is really high. I put it 7 feet, a little bit over 7 feet, 7'2" somewhere. But yeah. So first off, what I'm going to do is measure the width of it, which is pretty much like this back piece here, and then I'll measure front to back. You can decide how you want to do it. Either way, I would recommend, like on a PVC setup, is build the Scrog where it'll be in between. Either way, make sure that your down poles, you only have to make them a couple inches. You can use hose clamps, like for a car, and hose clamp the legs on the Scrog net to the actual poles here to hold the net, and it works just fine. You can loosen the hose clamps and adjust your Scrog net. So you can either put it on this side of it and have it butt up against it, or you can have it on this side, the left side. Either way, you want it to be touching, so then you can strap it to your poles, and that's how you support your Scrog net. And you don't have to have legs going all the way to the ground. I make my legs about 6 inches, and then, like I said, I just use hose clamps and clamp the two together, and it never moves. Just keep it simple. Don't over-engineer things. Gives you a headache and makes you spend more money. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock these measurements out, and I'll try to go through this whole build completely. Alright, here's what we got going on. So the tent where I want to put the Scrog is 4 feet by 46.5. So You have to account for the corners when you put this on. So 2 of these end up being 2 1/4. So you got to subtract 2 1/4 from the 4 feet. It's 45 3/4. What that ends up being. And then also the same thing with the width of it, so 46 1/2, 44 1/4. That makes up for both these ends on the side, so overall dimensions should match what's on there. You got 2 different options you can do. These are the best ones if you can find them, are the press-ins, which are the best. Why? Just because they're cheap. But like Home Depot, them assholes don't sell them. They sell these, which they look the same, but one side's threaded, so you have to buy this other bullshit piece. So it ends up costing you like an extra, I don't know, 60, 70 cents, sometimes $1 or something. It's almost the same amount for this little ass piece as this whole thing. So some stores do that bullshit. But either way, the measurements should be the same as long as you're not accounting for this. I'm only accounting for this way and this way. These are the legs. I always use this side down as the legs, because then that means this length and this length is exactly the same. So I know when I'm doing the 2 1/4 off of each wall, it'll be exactly the same. Versus you can mount it like this, but then you're going to have an oddball number. This one will be way shorter than this side, so keep it like that. If you have to use these, which I'm doing, pretty much goes like that. Let me do an angle. So this will be the leg attachment. I'm not going to do legs. You can do them yourself, but you're still going to want to have to tie it down. When you do Scrog nets, you have to anchor them down. The plant is strong. It will bow those nets up like 6 inches or so, because they're trying to go up. The nets is restricting them, so no matter what, you should be tying these guys down. So, but that's what's going on. I already cut all my links. These are 44 1/4. And then this one are the 45 3/4. So now I'm just going to quick assemble it, and then we'll start the netting process. I'll probably put temporary long legs in it for now. What I usually do is do legs about, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches, and that gives me enough to put my hose clamp around this pole and the pole on the tent, and that's what secures it, so I don't have to run feet all the way to the ground. So unless it lifts up the whole entire tent, which, be careful, it can pull their legs out. So make sure you have it tied down below. If you have 2 poles coming together in the middle, on the corner walls of your tent, make sure it's down below so it don't separate the 2 on you. But let me get this put together real quick, and then we'll start the netting process. Real simple. The temporary legs on it, that's not what I'm going to put on it. I mean, it would work, but I don't want to work on the ground. So next would be untangling the net mess. Here's the legs I'm going to put on it. These are just scrap pieces from other jobs. These are probably about 3 inches long. Like I said, it's just long enough to come out of the bottom of the legs, so I can take the clamps and tie this to the other pole in the tent to hold it. So I don't need super long legs. Saves me material, keeps it simple, the KISS method. But you can throw temporary legs on, helps it when you do the net. And I'll go through that. Most nets I get are 4 feet wide. I do 5x5 square Scrogs most of the time. This is a DIY tent, so it's a little different. But most of the nets, all the nets I get are 4 feet wide. And usually they come in 4 feet by 15 feet. Most of them come in 15-foot increments, so you can do 3 Scrog nets with them. The reason why I get them at 4 feet and not 5 feet is because it's cheaper to do 4 feet. But also, I use zip ties to attach it to the the outer sides, so my zip ties are basically connecting. You'll see here in a minute why I do it, but it allows me to be able to stretch and pull it tight. You'll find when you do the 5-foot ones and you're doing a 5x5 square or something like that, it's going to suck because you're actually going to be not using the last squares because you won't be able to pull it tight enough. So let me get cracking on this. I'll be in and out, kind of showing you the slow scrog of the neck process. So just start on one side. Doesn't matter, you just pick and start zip tying the squares right in the middle of each square. As you can see, see what I'm saying, it's right at the end. Zip tie in between each one as you go across here. And it's pretty much as simple as that, and it'll all start coming together shortly. Hardest part is the very first attaching the very first side of the scrog is the hardest part. Other than that, there's a one-handed zip tie method right there. Try that, people. That's when you know you've been working on zip ties way too long, because you can do that shit one hand. And the last one here. So then after this, we'll stretch it, and this is where it gets kind of easy and it all starts to come together and starts looking nice. Zip ties, you can buy them pretty dang cheap, so don't worry about wasting them, cutting them, things like that. You may have to cut something and add another extra length or something, like I have them direct right here, but I already know my net's gonna be able to reach the other side no problem. Obviously it's probably 10 feet long or more. So alright, let me connect the other side. Same process. So I decided to use my stand. It's a little bit long video, but this will kind of help you see the process. See what I mean? I linked it over there. Now it's time to do the stretching. What I'm looking for is, if I grab this one, is it going to be tight enough? No. See how it's still loose? So I'm going to have to grab all the way to this one to be able to get something tight. So I'm going to have to use longer zip ties to be able to get to this inner one. Because the key is with the scrog net, when it's all said and done, is you want to get it tight. So I'm going to have to go get some longer zip ties here, which I do have. Let's just say if you don't have longer zip ties, just put a couple zip ties together and do that. So I find it's easier to direct connect one side, which is that other side, how I just connected it right to the pole, and then use the opposite side, because then the net's already strung out, to get your adjustments for your tightness. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll use this side for tight. It should all work out. I'm going to have to use 2 zip ties together, because I'm not running upstairs getting my big ones. Yep, that's how it's done, folks. It's kind of simple. So I'll cut, I could probably pull that one with one. What'll be cool is you'll see when I get it done, it'll look all funny now. Watch. When you connect the sides like this, when you pull these sides out, it squares it back up. See what I mean? That's how it rolls. So when you start connecting these side ones to the sides that it's going to pull it tighter, everything will start matching up perfect. So hopefully you get the gist here. I'm going to cut the cam, get these done real quick. so we don't make this Scrog net video ungodly long, but yeah. So there we go. Let me get a few of these done and I'll cut back on. Bulk of it's done here. Now we're just going to take this right here and tie it over. Start strapping these ones. You kind of get the gist, so very simple. Just take, you know, obviously you can't take this one, you're going to take the next one that you can grab onto to pull the tension, so that's how it goes. Just like that. That's going to make the Scrog net tight. Now don't over tighten it because PVC will bend the crap out of it and your whole Scrog net will be all bowed, which is still not that big of a deal, but just, you don't need to pull it like He-Man tight. I mean, that right there, that's tight. The plant's going to lift that up, so it will have a little bit of flex to it, which is fine. You can see the net starting to come together. You know, just got to tie the rest of these sides down and we should be good. Scrog net's done. It's that simple. You can play a guitar string on it. It's nice and tight. I was able to tighten all these up. A lot of times you can't do that. You don't want to do the corner. I mean, you could feel the tension is way too much, and here's way too much. So it's just to where you get it tight enough where you feel that this is good. It lifts up a couple inches. That's fine. The plant's not going to over push that. It's going to try to find a less resistance. So that's the Scrog. We'll be installing it now. I'm going to go through and cut all the ends off, and then the video I'll be shooting. And then what you do on this is cut it here. As you can see, it's, you know, you got a bunch of net still, so pretty much just cut it off, and you'll have more net to do another Scrog. So I can get three Scrog nets out of one bag normally. So alright, we'll see y'all upstairs with it in the room. The final install, and this is what my final legs are. Like I said, it's short. So now I'm just going to pull this up, and we're also going to take measurements. See, there's the whole design right there. Simple hose clamp, pull the pole. This thing is not moving. It's not going nowhere. Don't use duct tape, none of that shit. Been there, done that, don't work. So pretty much just pick a corner, wherever your height is. Mine is 32 1/8, but my tent is over 7 feet tall. This is a taller tent. I don't know if you can see. So there's the 5x10. That gap right there on the top of that pole, it's about a good, I would say 6-7 inches, if not taller than this one. It's 6.8 feet is the 5x10. So this one's a lot taller. So what I did is I moved the net up in here to give me more room, because as you got a taller tent, you can have taller Scrog net if you need it. So that's what I did here. I will tell you this: if you run a taller Scrog net, you're gonna have to let your plant get bigger to fill it, because now you're adding more height. So the shorter you can get the Scrog net on the plant, the faster it's gonna fill out, because then you're stretching it outward instead of allowing it to grow up. So let me get this all buttoned up. Like I said, hose clamps, I like to like kind of oval them a little bit. Makes it easier to get around the two poles. So we get this done real quick, and then I'll have the final set up, ready to go. I'll be able to easily double Scrog this as well, since I already have my side tubes right there. All I have to do is add one across here on the front if I want to double Scrog. I'm probably not going to double scrog in this one because I can tie up the colas if needed for right now. Next round I will, but I gotta get plants in here. But that's how you do the scrog net. It also adds strength to the DIY tents, so consider that if you are going to build a DIY tent. If you plan on scrogging, integrate it in your system, and it adds for more support. Now don't take away the support like these guys here. Don't take those away, just add this into those if you want, but if you want to make it permanent. I usually don't have to move my scrog nets. You know, the plants, you can move them give or take 4 or 6 inches, whatever. As long as you keep track of your grow, you don't let it go out of control, you shouldn't have a problem. And I never do. I've never had one. So there it is there. That's the scrog. Let me do this quick bit about how I water my plants. I mean, obviously you can see I'm going to do the same thing this one. It's kind of hard to show, but I can literally fit underneath this tent. Okay, I'm laying inside this tent right now, touching the back wall. I'm sitting right here. So there's enough room where I can crawl underneath these tents. You make them high enough so you can fit. No different than, I'm not going to get the glasses, so y'all going to be stuck with this kind of picture, but you see the gap between here and the floor, and you see I have about 18 inches between this scrog and this scrog, so I have a little area to get in between these two, and you can see the distance. I can easily, even from my side access, I'm outside the tent and I'm touching the pot right now. Now this one I have the DIY tent butted up against, so, but it's nothing to crawl underneath these tents like so, and I'm underneath here. I mean, I'm sitting right in front. So make your scrog nets, you know, it really depends on how high your room is. I mean, mine are anywhere from 27 inches to 32 inches. It depends on how tall my room is and how high I need my lights. Now the other design is the best because all you got to do is loosen the clamps, and you can lower and raise the scrog net. So that's how it's done, folks. Real easy, simple. Don't overcomplicate it. All I gotta do is unscrew that right there, one right there, one right there, one right there, and don't do them at the same time. You can unscrew this one, slide it down, up, wherever you want it, because this is PVC, it'll flex, and then go over there, equal it out, up or down. You can do all your adjustments. So here's a roll of paper towels. There's the top of the net, and you got way down there. So you got, I'll put it at the top of the camera. There's another one. So you're looking at almost 3 paper rolls stacked on top of each other. There's tons of room to get underneath these. I mean, this one's about 2 paper rolls. So that's how you get underneath these scrogs. Hopefully that helps you out. You pretty much design it for you and your plants. Keep both in mind, as you need to get access to water them and feed them and all that. Now I will show you the design that I'll do. It's going to take probably 2-inch tubing, possibly 3-inch, and what you do is you link the tubing onto here and you run it down, and what you're going to do is you'll make a square, semi-square, because PVC, you got your 90s that are a little roundish, but you make it the size of your pot, you know, to fit in between the outer part of your pot and the stem itself. Put it like right in the middle, drill some like 1/8-inch holes all the way around it, a bunch of them, and you make sure you seal all that. You have your PVC up here, stick it through your net, attach it from here, and then you can pour your water in. It goes right to your plant. So if you want to get slick, do that. And that's what I do on my Scrog nets where I have zero access and I have no choice, is just run a PVC. You know, you got to make it pretty big, about 2 inch or so, and you want to make it run down and then make it go into a semi-square that, you know, you can put around your plant. You can just do the push-on connectors, so that's how you get it around the roots. You don't have to actually totally seal it, because you push these up together pretty tight. They will seal enough, and where it's going to leak will be right over the pot anyway, so you don't have to seal these up. So you can actually literally put it around your pots or your stems, and that's how you do that, which I'll probably build one anyway and show you guys. But you know, I can only do so much at, you know, with my grows at one time, so I'll try to get to it when I can. I'm trying to get the plants in flower in this one, which probably going to be veg for another week or so. Sorry about it taking so long. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Scrog net in the DIY tent. There's your 100 CFM evac. And the door, which I will be changing, is these grills. There's one on each side. You can see they're screwed together. Basically take a razor, you cut the plastic, make sure you cut the square out smaller than this opening, so you create a lip, and then you put these two together, one on each side, sandwich them, and put your screws through. So now you got a vent, and there's a screen in there, plus this has the down angle, so it helps. But this is a dark room, so don't do it in a room that's got a lot of light, because you can get light underneath these. But this room is a dark room, so if you got to vent a door, anything you need, you can grab some of these. These reflectors do help on accidents, and like I said, there's screens in them. Sandwich the two together, or, you know, on each side of the door or whatever, cut the square out, put the screws through, and basically pinch this two together. That's another little thing in there. So y'all have a good one. I'm gonna go on the transplant and get this plant in here. Colorado's finest. Hit me up, 420magazine.com. I hang out there. If you got any ideas, comments, don't be too harsh on me. I'm busting my ass on all these grow rooms for this YouTube page, and I still have my other ones to tend to. So y'all have a good one.